I was saying, y'all, but Rico from StreetScores. I'm getting back in the groove of it. I'm feeling way better. I'm almost 100%. So now we got to talk about Terry Mclaurin. We have a contract update there. It's nothing major. I'm not trying to clickbait y'all or anything, but we just got some additional information on what's kind of going on behind the scenes. Also, we have a Noah Brown update, a very positive one. I'm going to give y'all that one as well. Also, I have the open training camp dates for the Washington Commanders training camp coming up. I'm gonna give y'all that update, and then we're gonna finish it off with a big running back discussion, most notably including how one of the Washington rookies has potentially some elite dynasty fantasy potential. And this is not coming from me. This is coming from a neutral analyst that was doing a breakdown of all of the rookies around the NFL, and they chose this Washington rookie as one of those guys that you probably want to go ahead and get now in your dynasty league because it can pay off big time in the future. We're going to dive into all of that and more, but before we do, make sure you stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video and being so patient with me because, you know, I went on vacation, then I came back, I was sick, I wasn't able to do a lot of videos recently, but now we're about to get back to it. I'm trying to get back on my at least one video a day, maybe even multiple in a day, and I really want to knock out some of these rookie film sessions exclusive to channel members only before we get training camp going, which the rookies report the 18th, the veterans report the 22nd, and we immediately start practicing after that. So stay tuned for all of that. And without further ado, let's go and dive into this video, man. Let's get right back into the groove of things, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so let's start with Noah Brown. And this all started from at Jaden Daniels MVP, Brandon over there. Back on June 26th, he did an NFL Commanders Q&A, and he also did Ask Away. Then you had a Milton Fletcher that asked, how is Noah Brown? Well, Jay Daniels MVP replied, Noah Brown seems to be in good spirits based off of his IG activity, and the team hasn't reported on the extent of the injury yet. Not required to, of course. We'll see within the next few weeks how he's doing and get an update on his status for training camp in the regular season. So until we have Dan Quinn in front of the media having a press conference, we're not going to officially know what's going on with Noah Brown. I want to go ahead and preface all of this with that. But because Jay Daniels MVP mentioned that he seems to be in good spirits on his IG, I had to go to his IG, and it was even better than I expected. As you can see in these pictures, not only is he happy, the guy is walking around like no boot. It doesn't look like he had any type of surgery. This is probably monumental news here. You know what I'm saying? Last time we talked about Noah Brown, and when we got some sort of a positive update, you had John Com say from his podcast that I think it doesn't seem like it's anything major from anything that he's heard or been told and stuff like that. But before then, we were thinking, man, is this out for season? Torn ACL type of stuff? It definitely doesn't look like it. Somebody that just tore his ACL just a couple of weeks ago is not walking around looking this happy. And just to let you know, this post comes from him. He went back home, and with this post, he attached to it, football night in Mount Olive was a success and a blessing to be a part of. Thank you, Mount Olive Marauders, and to everyone who came out and supported. He won some sort of award with them and things like that, and that is just really cool. He was there to sign footballs and everything, man. So shouts out to him going back to his hometown, showing love to everybody. I thought that was beautiful. He's from New Jersey. I believe that's where Dan Quinn is from. They're not from the same city of New Jersey, but Dan Quinn is from New Jersey. That's pretty cool too. But Noah Brown went back to his hometown in New Jersey, showed love. And again, as a Commanders fan, I'm just looking at all of this like he's just chilling. You can see in these pictures that he's just walking around. And then here's a video from his Instagram post, a later one. Like the pictures I just showed you, he put those out June 23rd. And then just 2 days ago, he uploaded this video. And this was well after Jay Daniels MVP said that seems like he's in high spirits. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about the fact that Noah Brown is walking around, no help, no cane, no crutches, no boot, no nothing, just chilling. No leg brace, no nothing. He just seems to be, you would never think an injury happened. You would never think that there was any sort of an injury scare just a couple of weeks ago. And again, not just any injury. We were speculating, especially from him having to be carted off, from him slamming his helmet. Typically when people slam their helmets, it's cooked. That's it. They know their season is over. So this wasn't just a normal injury. We were thinking out for season type of stuff. Maybe an Achilles, torn ACL. And I don't even want to mention the potential injuries he could have had, because again, it seems like he doesn't have them, and I don't want to jinx him in any anyway. So shouts out to Noah Brown. He looks good. I mean, of course, this is not him running around and things like that. And you just never know, because this is not to say that when we come back to training camp July 22nd, the veterans report, he'll immediately be able to practice, full participant, all of that type of stuff like nothing happened. Because I vividly remember, like, way back, Trent Williams was still on the team, and it said he was out for like weeks. And then you see like him, it was during a game, you see him on the sideline walking like nothing's happening, like completely normal. No leg brace, no crutches, no nothing. Just normal street clothes, nothing on his leg. You would just never think that anything was hurt. And he was walking around like a normal human being. Like, he looks like he could go grocery shopping. It looks like he may even be able to play a pickup game of basketball. But he's out for weeks at NFL standards. NFL hurt is different from regular human hurt. So again, Noah Brown looks good. He's walking around, standing up on his own, no help, no nothing. But who knows what it means football wise yet. So we'll have to wait to see that for a couple of weeks. But again, just wanted to give y'all that big time update, because that is huge news to see that Noah Brown, it looks like he's chilling. Now moving on to Terry McLaurin, we have a couple of updates, and I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know this now. I'm gonna preface this off rip, just to let you know, when people are talking about Terry McLaurin, you have guys like Jeremy Fowler, you have all of these different reporters like James Palmer. We're going to talk about him as well. Who knows if these things are actually really trustworthy sources? Typically, these guys, when they put out information, typically it's at least somewhat trustworthy. But at the end of the day, a lot of this information, who knows, the agent could be putting this out there, just feeding it to them so that they can say it in public. Terry McLaurin may just be chilling. So I just wanted to preface that with the fact that Jeremy Fowler reported back on July 6th, 6 days ago, that Terry McLaurin is not happy where things are with his extension. Fowler noted that Washington and McLaurin have only had a few weeks to make progress. Otherwise, his holdout will continue into training camp, of course, because training camp veterans report the 22nd. That's 10 days from now. They have until then before he starts to hold out in camp. If it reaches that point, I don't think it will, but hey, maybe it will. Who knows? But again, you have a quote that Terry McLaurin is not happy where things are with his extension. If you look at Terry, everywhere he's been, he's on vacation, he's chilling, he's with his wife, his family, like he's just cooling it, man. I'm pretty sure this is agent fuel. This is the agent giving this information to reporters for them to report to make the Commanders look crazy. This has to be an agent thing. I'm almost sure about it. I don't think Terry McLaurin is just sitting at his house, arms folded, mad. Like, I can't see my forehead, Patrick type of mad, just sitting there disgruntled. I doubt it. Everywhere I've seen him, he seems happy. I'm pretty sure he's in constant contact with all of the players on the teams, all of his teammates and things like that, happy, whatever he's normally doing. I don't think this is affecting that. But either way, to dive into it, shouts out to Mike Florio, and of course, you know, he's a typical Commanders hater, so again, take with this information as you will. But he said it's a summer of discontent for multiple pass rushers. There's a pass catcher who still isn't happy with his contract. Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin enters the last year of his current deal at a base salary of $15.5 million. With the new money market now worth north of $40 million, he clearly deserves an adjustment. Acknowledging the fact is one thing, coming up with a number that makes him happy is another. Via BleacherReport.com's and ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reported on Sunday's Sports Center, Terry McLaurin is not happy where things are with an extension. That's sort of obvious, given that he boycotted the entire offseason program. I don't know why people keep saying that. Mike Florio saying that. Even Adam Schefter said it a couple of weeks ago. He did not boycott and hold out the entire offseason program. First of all, let's step back, take one more step back. You can't hold out of voluntary practices. You just can't. He held out a mandatory minicamp. Yes, you can count that because it is mandatory. But you can't technically hold out a voluntary practice. Even Laramie Tunsil and Marshawn Lattimore weren't there, but that's just what they do every year, even back on the Saints and the Texans and all those other teams that they played for. But Terry McLaurin, he was there. Let's get back to the main thing. I don't know why Adam Schefter and Mike Florio are saying this, that he boycotted the entire offseason program. They emphasized entire, missed all of practices. It's not all, it's not entire. He was there for the first session of voluntary OTAs, and then he was there halfway of the second one. And then he started to, stop going to practice and stuff like that midway through the second one, and then he missed the third session completely. Then he missed mandatory minicamp, but he was there. I mean, it's not like these photos of him and Deebo Samuel together are photoshopped or anything like that. It was Jaden Daniels throwing passes to Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin in voluntary OTAs early on. So he's nowhere near as disgruntled as a lot of people act like he is, but it's probably gotten to a point where it's like, okay, I need to send a message. Let me start missing practices, because especially like you don't want to get hurt in these practices, and that lessens the money I definitely feel like it's a lot more that. Let me avoid any random injury that can happen and make sure I secure my money before I start showing up to practices. Then he's just holding out because he's angry against the Commanders. He's disgruntled. He doesn't want anything to do with us. I don't think it's anywhere like that, like a lot of these other players that hold out. Every holdout is not the same. And then just 3 days ago, James Palmer reported that Dan Quinn has remained in contact with Terry McLaurin throughout the offseason. You would assume so. And McLaurin does not want to reset the market, apparently. That's an interesting update there. Again, take every bit of this information with a grain of salt from any of these reporters, because who knows if these are actually real trustworthy sources or anything like that, if this came from Terry McLaurin himself or his agent or whatever. But that is interesting to hear that Terry McLaurin does not want to reset the market. That is great news. I kind of assumed that he didn't necessarily want that, or even just assuming, like, I don't think he deserves to be paid more than like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, but he deserves to be somewhere along the lines of like DK Metcalf, even a little bit more than that. But he is looking to make at least where 7 wide receivers are making, who are paid $30 million or more, which makes sense. That seems like exactly what I was thinking. I'm thinking somewhere 32, 33 million a year. So I think he does deserve to be one of the 7 highest paid wide receivers, but also not reset the market makes perfect sense. So then, if this is true, and I really want to emphasize big if Terry McLaurin is not trying to reset the market, he only wants somewhere north of 30 million, maybe in that sweet spot that I'm feeling like he deserves and should and will end up getting, then what's the holdup? Then it's about like the amount of years, and maybe Terry McLaurin wants more years because he knows if he only takes like a 2-year deal after that, he'll probably only end up getting like way less money, because the Commander's going to look at him like, man, you're 30 something years old, like, you know, and how much do you potentially have left in the tank type of thing. Maybe he wants to secure a far more longer term deal, but at the same time, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe he does want a quick 2-year deal so that he can go ahead and get more money before he's too old and before his game starts to take a step back in athleticism. You know, age gets everybody. Age is undefeated. So who knows? I'm just throwing things out there. Maybe Terry McLaurin wants a longer deal and the Commanders want to give him a shorter one, or vice versa. Who knows? I'm just throwing things out there, possibilities. But I do tend to believe that maybe Terry McLaurin doesn't want to reset the market, and that would be great news for us. And again, that would only leave the holdup being the amount of years, or who knows which side of the coin he is there. And then while we're talking about Terry McLaurin, just random stats I saw. Terry McLaurin in 2024, he had 10 touchdowns versus single coverage. That was first in the entire NFL. He also had the highest passer rating when targeted out of all wide receivers in the NFL with a 135.3. Terry McLaurin is that guy, I'm telling you right now. And even if you look on the screen right now, he was the best jump ball wide receiver when it comes to contested catches and all of that type of stuff in the NFL, as you can see in this graphic. You have Drake London second, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown third, then Juwan Jennings, then Cortland Sutton, then A.J. Brown, then CeeDee Lamb, then Malik Neighbors, then Wan'Dale Robinson, and then Justin Jefferson. Terry McLaurin was number 1. Now, granted, you can make the argument that, hey, I mean, if you're open more often, if you get open, but then again, I mean, to refute that, you know what I'm saying? Teams were definitely focused on him, double teaming him, you know, shading safety help his way and things over the top, not letting them beat them. Terry McLaurin received a lot of attention from defenses. So, you know, you can make the argument, well, if you're the best contested catcher, that's good. But that also, maybe that means you're not getting open as often as you should. But at the same time, defenses were so focused on him that I think it's amazing that he's the best contested catch receiver in the entire NFL, man. He's been doing this for a few years in a row now, and Jaden Daniels pulling up, it only helped. And then now moving on. Like I told y'all before the intro, I did want to update y'all on the Commanders 2025 NFL training camp dates. Just to let you know, the Kids Day is Saturday, August 2nd. The Military Appreciation Day is Sunday, August 10th. Just to give y'all that heads up. And of course, I mean, like, the tickets, boy, they flew. Like, they just released them some random day. They didn't even give you a heads up, like, days in advance. They just put them out there, gone. I wasn't even able to get any. But they will hold 3 open practices for all fans during training camp, and then 3 additional open practices for season ticket members only. And just to let you know, the open ones for everybody, July 27th, July 29th, and August 2nd, if you're somehow still able to get tickets if you haven't yet. And then season ticket holders specifically are July 28th, July 31st, and August 4th, just to let you know. And again, to reiterate, the rookies report July 18th, the veterans report the 22nd, and then practices will start the following day, the 23rd. And then again, you have an open practice to everybody July 27th. Then you have a season ticket holder practice the 28th, only for them. Then the day after that, the 29th, back open to everybody. And then a couple of days after that, on the 31st, open to only season ticket holders. And then a couple of days after that, open to everybody August 2nd. And then a couple of days after that, open to only season ticket holders. And then after that, that's it. No more open practices to the public fans. Now, maybe media members like John Comm, Nikki Javala, and JP Finley and those guys will be able to go there and they'll upload the clips. And of course, I'll give y'all those clips like I do with the videos, breaking down everything. You know how we do, man. We go position group by position group, everything, starting with the quarterbacks, then running backs, wide receivers, go through the entire team, even special teams, because, you know, we're looking at special teams, you know, with a certain eye this year, you know, especially as bad as our kicking was last year. Now we signed Matt Gay to the most guaranteed money for 1 year kickers ever received in NFL history, so I'm expecting him to be great. And then we're looking at rookie 4th round pick Jalen Lane to come in and immediately as a 4th round rookie to be our starting punt returner and maybe even one of our starting kick returners. So special teams really matters. So stay tuned to the end of those videos, those breakdowns of each practice and all of the clips that I'm uploading to y'all, because that matters too. It's not just offense and defense. Special teams is a big component of what we're trying to do and you know, help this winning formula that we're putting together to try to go in the Super Bowl run. But either way, man, hopefully, you know, right now we technically only have 6 practices open to just fans. Hopefully the media members have access to more practices than that. And then, because eventually they're definitely going to have some closed off practices, especially sprinkled throughout, that we will get nothing because they're trying to, you know, install some of the offense, install some of the defense, start strategizing towards opponents, and they don't want that getting out to anybody else. That, I mean, hey, do what you got to do. I would love to be able to report on these practices, but at the end of the day, prioritize winning, whatever it takes to win, and strategize, be as private as you need to be. But I would love some open practices so we can look and talk about everything going on with the Commanders. But out of the way, moving on to the last major topic of this video. Apparently, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt has some elite Fantasy Football Dynasty League potential, man. So you have Pro Football Focus College, again, neutral, not a Commanders fan, not a Commanders reporter, and even with their tweet putting out the article back on July 2nd, they said running back Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt of Washington and tight end Oronde Gadsden of the LA Chargers. These are the 2 headlining guys for rookies at every position to stash in your fantasy football dynasty leagues right now. So they're trying to put you on game. They're like, hey, watch out. These are 2 guys that you draft in your dynasty leagues now, and maybe they don't pay off immediately in their rookie seasons, but later on down the line, you're going to look like a genius for having these guys if you do dynasty football, fantasy football, where you just continue to, you know, you keep your same team and you just add to it with drafts every year. So they only pick 1 player per offensive position. Quarterback, they have Cam Miller of the Las Vegas Raiders. They're saying put your stock in him. Maybe the North Dakota State product will eventually turn into a starter in the NFL and become something, and you'll look like a genius. Wide receiver, they have Torrey Horton of the Seattle Seahawks. Tight end wise, again, they have Oronde Gadsden of the LA Chargers. And then running back, they have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. They said he sits as just the RB20 in 2025 Dynasty Rookie Drafts, buried in a class full of potential workhorses. I can see that. I mean, this class had Caleb Johnson, Amar Hampton. You have Ashton Genty and Travion Henderson and all of those other guys, man. So while the Commanders made him the final running back selected in the 2025 draft, which is interesting, he was the last running back drafted out of all running backs in this past draft, even though he should have been drafted way higher than that, but he had weird circumstances. His potential to eventually lead the team's backfield makes him a dynasty stash. And I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know right now, it may happen sooner than y'all think. But just to dive even further, leaving Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and basically as to why we may even get to this point where he could take over as our lead back in his rookie season, this upcoming season. It's more than likely not going to happen week 1, but there's a chance that it could happen before the end of this season, because there was an article put out there of the top 10 NFL running backs. And of course, Brian Robinson was not one of them. But shouts out to the Commanders Wire. They're the only reason I knew this article was even put out. They put out an article talking about the ESPN ranked its top 10 NFL running backs. And they questioned, did Brian Robinson make the list? And of course, with the list, he did not. Of course, he missed out on the top 10, but at the same time, he landed in the also receiving votes category. So he didn't make it into the top 10, but some people actually voted him as a top 10 running back. He just didn't win the spot out of all of the votes, which is interesting because that means some people at ESPN are even higher on Brian Robinson than most of us are. You know, you ask Commanders fans, most of us probably say, nah, he's definitely not a top 10 running back. But you have people at ESPN that believe he is. And I do want to note, shouts out to Commanders Wire, Robinson is entering a critical 4th season. His rookie season was impacted when he suffered a gunshot wound just before the season opener and missed 5 total games. And salute to him for that one, man. And walking out the mini-min by 50 Cent, elite, man. Robinson did appear in 12 games, rushing for 797 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is crazy. He's never rushed for 800 yards in his career, right? But he had 797 yards after missing 5 games because he was shot. So that should have been the season that he did it, which is crazy. He followed that up by starting 15 games in 2023, but he only rushed for 733 yards and a sad 4.1 yards per carry and 5 touchdowns. He also caught 4 touchdown passes. And then Washington's running game struggled as a whole due to that season's offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, understandably. Then last season, Robinson had a fresh start plan in 14 games, 13 starts for new offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. He had a career highs across the board. He reached 799 rushing yards. Still has yet to hit 100 and 800 in a season yet in his career. He has 797 his rookie season after missing 5 games because he got shot out of his control. And then he had 799 last season, 1 yard away. But he also had 8 rushing touchdowns, which is an improvement. And he averaged 4.3 yards per attempt. Not great, but all right. And then the Commanders Wire also continued by saying there was some disappointment in Washington's running game outside of quarterback Jaden Daniels last season. It really was. Even the games that Marcus Mariota had to step in, he had to lead our team in rushing one of those games. Insane. It just seems like the quarterbacks have to rush for us to be successful on the ground. The Commanders' offensive line played surprisingly well for much of the season, but wore down late. I would agree with that. And Robinson's production slipped throughout the year. I think there is a correlating line there. I think there's a loose correlation. I think Brian Robinson, even with a great offensive line, needs to improve his vision and things like that. And he's also not very fast, but at the same time, the offensive line did get a little worse as the season went on. But Jaden Daniels, in spite of all of that, still balled out. So no excuse to really everybody else. But finishing up with what Commanders Wire said, Washington upgraded the offensive line this offseason. While the Commanders did bring in a rookie running back, he's not expected to challenge Robinson for the starting job, at least right now. Robinson has a prime opportunity to have his best season right now. Cliff Kingsbury wants to run the ball and use Daniels less to run the ball. Please. Robinson runs with power and has surprising speed. His physical style makes him popular with the fans, and he now has a shot to go over 1,000 rushing yards for the first time in his career. We'll see. We will see. And then also, of course, Austin Eckler will be a part of the running back room. He'll have a role. I think he's going to return less because of all of the injuries that he suffered in the return game last year. So he'll probably just stick to just running the ball, being a third down option for us. We'll see. But then you also have this interesting stat that tells us how bad our running back room was last year. Shouts out to JP Finley for retweeting and saying Washington was bottom half of the league and running backs getting stuffed short. Not good. Jaden Daniels bailed us out of a lot of 3rd and 4th and shorts himself. It was not the running backs doing it. Because you have a tweet from Warren Sharp, and he's always tweeting random advanced stats. I love following him because it's always the most random advanced stats. And a lot of them are very positive for the Commanders, but this one isn't. As you can see on the screen right now, here are the rate of running backs being stuffed for no gain in short yardage situations. It shouts out to Miami and New England because they were the worst by far at 44%, but Washington wasn't much better. They were somewhere in the middle of the pack at 26% alongside Kansas City and the Houston Texans. That's not a good place to be. In short yardage situations, 1 to 2 yards to go for a first down. And again, these are your running backs being stuffed for no gain or less, negative yardage, whatever. And so Jaden Daniels having to carry the offense. And shouts out to @We1Dallas because he said the first thing I thought of when I read this tweet, and then he uploaded this picture. As you can see, 2nd and 1 at Philly's 25, no huddle shotgun, Brian Robinson, right guard to Philly, no gain. Shouts out to 2 Georgia dogs on the tackle, Jalen Carter and Nakobe Dean. Then 3rd and 1, Brian Robinson up the middle, -1 yard. And I mean, that is a situation that kind of encompasses what's going on here. Brian Robinson is supposed to be this short yardage, get you at least 1 to 2 yards every carry type of guy, and he still is not able to even do that. And he doesn't have enough great speed to make up for it. So that's why we're all so excited about JCM, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. It's not like I'm trying to discard of Brian Robinson, but I do want him to take a step back and let JCM take over. It may not happen immediately because JCM still transitioning from college to the NFL, and he missed the entire last season, so he may be a little bit rusty there as well, just off of that. But of course, that means he doesn't have as much wear and tear on the tires. He's coming into the NFL fresh, but there's still a lot of things that going from college to the NFL, you got to learn. The speed the speed of the game has to slow down for you. You have to learn how to pass protect, especially now that we have Jayden Daniels, a franchise quarterback, elite quarterback. Priority is making sure whoever's on the field can keep him safe and healthy. That's why they went so crazy with the offensive line. If you want to play as often as possible, JCM, you're gonna have to be able to pass protect. You're gonna have to learn a lot of things like route running. You got to show that you have consistent hands. You got to show that you have consistent vision to where you got to find the right hole as often as possible and make good decisions. Those are a lot of things, a lot of nuances, a lot of things that it takes sometimes a lot of people years to develop. So I'm not having these expectations going into his rookie year that he's immediately going to be that, but I'm hoping for it, man. And so shouts out to Dave Klung, because for some reason, Dave Klug, however you pronounce his name, he said that Bleacher Report just pegged Austin Ekeler as a potential cut candidate. And he said that the Bears were involved in trade negotiations for Ekeler in 2023. He was rumored to be on their radar last offseason. And you do want to notice the fact that the Bears did not draft a running back when everybody assumed that they would take at least Caleb Johnson, Travion Henderson, somebody like that. So maybe they have a need for running back, and Austin Ekeler is potentially a candidate. But I agree with my boy Big Doug at Doug McCray NFL. First of all, Commanders and Georgia Bulldog fans, so always shouts out to my dog for that. But he tweeted, no chance he gets cut. I get the idea of trading them to open snaps up for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt at some point, but Ekeler doesn't cost anything. Maybe at the deadline, if he's playing well, you can get some type of draft capital in return, but he's nowhere near a potential cut candidate. He's not making enough money, and he's too important on this team right now because he is your third down back until further noted. You know what I'm saying? Right now, he's our most explosive proven running back because, again, ignoring JCM, he's a rookie. He's a 7th-round rookie, even though he should never have been drafted that late. He should have easily have gone within the first 3 rounds talent-wise, but remember, 7th-round rookie, so we're keeping him out of this discussion. Out of everybody else in the running back room, Austin Ekeler is the most proven explosive guy that can get yards after contact, yards after catch, and maximize yardage in certain situations. He's not fast. He doesn't have home run hitting speed, which is another reason why we're so excited about JCM. But right now, there's no reason to cut Austin Ekeler. He's your most explosive back, I guess. He's not very explosive, but he's the best we have outside of JCM right now. And he's not costing you much money, so I don't see how that would work. But at the end of the day, running back room, we need improvement from y'all. The offensive line is already way better than what it was last year. It was arguably middle of the league last year, top 15, depending on what metrics you're looking at, depending on what you value in an offensive line. I think we have the potential to have a top 5 offensive line, arguably the best by the time the season ends. So there's no excuses from these running backs at that point, especially when you have such a diddly passing game from Jayden Daniels. Like, I don't think people are going to be able to even stack the box that much because you have to worry about Jayden Daniels being a top 5 quarterback already and dicing you up in the passing game. So no excuses from these running backs. I'm expecting production. It'd be nice if Brian Robinson finally hits 800 yards in the season, with him being 3 away his rookie season and 1 yard away last season. We'll see what Austin Ekeler contributes. We'll see if any of these other running backs, Chris Rodriguez or Jeremy McNichols, any of those guys, Michael Wiley, we'll see. But JCM, man, nobody out of all of those names I just gave you is as explosive, quick, and agile as you. Go win that. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say starting spot, but go steal some carries from those other veteran running backs that are way older than you. Go steal some carries immediately. Do it in training camp or preseason to the point that even week 1, you're getting some carries. And as the season goes on, you start to get more and more, and then eventually you become our lead back of a running back committee. I don't ever see us not being a running back committee. I don't think it'll just be the JCM show, really ever, unless these guys are off the team or anything like that. But I want to get to the point by the time we get to the playoffs and these games really matter, and this winner go home, we have the explosion and the agility and just the pure threat of an explosive back like JCM that will open things up for Jayden Daniels. I'm hoping we get to that point where he is your lead back of your committee, because we're never just going to go a game without Austin Ekeler and Brian Robinson getting significant carries. I just want to get to the point where JCM is getting more than the other 3. I don't ever think there'll be a point where JCM gets more carries than Brian Robinson and Austin Ekeler combined, but I want him to get the most out of the carries that they all split. I'm hoping we get to that point, and again, for some of those stats that I just gave you is the reason why. Because even Brian Robinson, shouts out to him, love him and all of that, but for you to be a short yardage running back and you were getting stuffed at the rate that you did last year, not healthy. You can blame the offensive line a little bit for that, but I think JCM's elite cutting ability and things like that is going to take everything to a next level. And I'm sure Yeah, when you're watching tape, I know Cliff Kingsbury sees it. Like, come on, like this guy is a different level of athleticism, explosion, agility, quickness, and speed than anybody else we have in this running back room. You can even tell by the fact that I don't remember running outside zone last year ever, because none of our running backs were fast enough and quick enough to do it. We're already running outside zone running plays in mandatory minicamp, and he took it 60 yards to the house. So JCM, the hype may be real. It may be real. So watch out. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, and still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this. So make sure you stay tuned. Again, I'm trying to get back to where I'm doing like a video a day. And even though I'm recording this at like 4 a.m., I do want to potentially come out with another video way later on this evening or tonight. So be on the lookout for that. I'm trying to get back to consistently a video or two a day. So stay tuned for all of that. Really appreciate y'all. Make sure I leave a like on the way out. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about the Terry McLaurin update, the Noah Brown update, and also our running back situation. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the points that I had. Really appreciate y'all. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.